the mic, talking day and spilling life, from trending memes to wildest dreams. Girl, did you hear that crazy thing? Girl, did you hear what's going down? We're lighting up this whole damn town. Strange and trending every week. Bestie vibes that'll never peak.
Elizabeth was abducted
At 14 years old.
Yeah, from her house
Straight up snatched. Boop.
in the middle of the night.
Yeah. The only person who witnessed it was her little sister.
Yes. And at the time, her sister was only 9 years old, which is crazy. She has like an epiphany of who the guy was in their bedroom that night. And she's like, I know who it is. Hey guys, welcome to Girl Did You Hear?
The ultimate bestie hangout. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kristen. Today is episode 74.
74.
Woo-hoo. We have another fun one for you today. It is Kidnapped on Netflix, the Elizabeth Smart story. Gotta slow that one down.
Tongue twister.
Yes. Elizabeth was abducted.
At 14 years old.
Yeah, from her house
Straight up snatched. Boop.
in the middle of the night.
Yeah. The only person who witnessed it was her little sister.
Yes. And at the time, her sister was only 9 years old, which is crazy.
Sad.
Like, so they went to bed one night, and that night, some man came into their bedroom, took Elizabeth, covered her mouth, obviously, and was like, if you scream or say anything, I will hurt you.
Yeah.
Sister sees the guy,
Just lays there silent.
lays there silently, pretends that she's sleeping.
As a 9-year-old would.
Yeah,
right?
like, I didn't see nothing. I'm just here, And she later realizes that she remembers that this voice that she heard is familiar to her, which
the
is
only
kind of
thing
crazy.
she recognizes is
Yeah.
the voice.
So the man takes Elizabeth.
Right.
The sister's like, what the F, She kind of waits around for a minute and is trying to muster up the courage to tell her dad,
Right.
what's
because she's
going
a 9-year-old
on.
little girl and she's scared out of her mind. So she's really trying to understand, is this real? Is this the boogeyman? Does this really happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she goes in and wakes dad up at 3:53 a.m. exact.
The witching hour.
Yes. And she's like, someone took Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And dad's like, that's
Nah,
crazy.
she's
Like, he
fine.
must have
She's
had a
just out
nightmare.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they start looking around the house. They're not finding her. Anxiety is starting to happen. Dad notices in the kitchen, the freaking window screen is cut and it's completely open.
Mm-hmm.
And then mom's like, call 911,
Right.
obviously, right?
So they get the cops over there.
Yeah, cops come right away. The captain that's on the case obviously starts, investigating and so forth. They noticed a couple of things on scene that they there was that chair outside the window
Right.
of the scene. So they thought maybe that's where they had exited from. Basically, there's not a lot of evidence on the site.
No.
On scene. All they have to go off of is the chair and that Elizabeth is
cut
gone.
screen.
And the cut screen. That's really it at this point. Of course, naturally, police, unfortunately,
Look at the family.
look
for
at
suspects.
the family. Yeah, because statistically, the family usually does have something to do with it. But under my impression, I think, and from what I've seen, I feel like most of those situations where families are involved, there's a ransom or something. You know what I mean?
Fair.
That kind of comes into play. Sometimes. Who knows? But anyway, so the cops start looking at the family. The news is going crazy. It's nationwide.
Yeah.
Within the first week, this is all taking place.
Huge.
Within a matter
Blows
of
up so
Yeah,
fast.
super, super fast. The police are obviously feeling pressured because the press is just pushing them and
Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Where is she?
everyone's
'Cause
trying
she's
to
still
get
missing at
answers.
this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the time of the news and everything going on, there was a reward issued for her finding of $250,000, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
They start interviewing the family, of course, one by one, and they had a big family. There was 6 kids, I think.
I don't quite remember that. But I
They
know
had-
that a sister, there was a sister and a brother mentioned, but
I think she had 2 or 3 older brothers, and then her, and then the younger sister. Yeah.
But they were really looking at her dad and his brothers.
Yeah, which is weird. One of their brothers was kind of
A little
kooky.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of the ones that actually failed, or the polygraph came back kind of like inconclusive. Yeah. And so they kept like pressing the family as the news is just blowing up. This is all kind of happening all at the same time, right? The family's kind of getting pissed because they're like, what the hell? Like, I understand you have to look at us, but like there's nothing else to look at.
Right.
You know, like they had taken a bunch of computers from the house, didn't find anything. They had other reasonings as to think that it was him because there was an issue with like the alarm not being set that night, you know, and like there was no scuff marks from the chair outside the window and like just silly little things. It was almost like they were trying to like reach to find something, right? Which I understand. Like they're at a loss because they don't know. They don't have any evidence to go off of. So they're trying to pick at anything, right? To strum up something, to give them some sort of direction. They continue searching around, no sights, nothing's happening. They were like around day 9 about this time, and they start looking at like some of the family, like all the people that the family had contact with, and people that, because they were also doing construction at their house, you know, so they had workers there, whatever. They reached out to people that had been in contact with the Smart family recently. Didn't really find anything. They were talking to people at Elizabeth's school, the church, everything. Still not finding any answers, right? The only thing that came up during that time was Mr. Richard Reese. And he came up because he was doing construction on the house recently.
Right.
And he was one of the people that came up on the list of recent contacts, and they were kind of picking through those contacts based off how they looked and any history that they would have had criminally. And he did have a history. So they went to his house, found some jewelry from the Smart's house that he had taken. So then they arrested him.
Yeah.
For that. So now Richard's in jail, and they start interviewing him, and he was also referred to by the church. You know, so they thought he was like cool dude,
because this
whatever.
family is a part of the LDS community. This is also taking place in
Salt Lake City,
like what did they call it? Federal Heights,
neighborhood.
Utah. So it's in the Salt Lake City metropolis area.
Yeah.
So I mean,
these houses are huge,
like
houses.
big, expensive houses. Yeah. So it makes sense if she has 6 kids because it was a big house
for sure. So they're interviewing Richard, and he is angry. Like the interview and like the way that even like the police were talking to him was like very aggressive.
Yeah, it's like almost, it's like what's feeding what? Is like the cops making him this way, or is he naturally this way?
Yeah, because I was like, the cop seemed kind of aggressive from the get-go, but I'm sure that's probably not the initial footage that they showed.
Right. They're also probably trying to pry him open and make him tell his secrets about where Elizabeth is.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're pressing him. During the search of the house, I noticed that Richard's Jeep has a lot of miles that were put on it, like the same day of the
Elizabeth's disappearance.
Yes, which I don't know how they determined that. I may have missed that, but they noticed that the mileage that was there, and he wouldn't give an answer as to where he was.
Right.
And so that was irritating them because they're like, everything else was kind of pointing to him. So they thought, you know, like they're trying to pin this on Richard, and Richard's like, you guys need to get the F out there and find out who actually did this. And he's like irate.
He's like, I didn't do this.
Yeah. He's like pissed, you know, like in the interview room with the cops and stuff. And then the sister was like, Richard's not the guy.
Right.
She's telling the police that's not the guy.
She's telling the police that's not the guy. And also, while Richard's incarcerated, the cousin's house gets broken into.
Yes.
And the screen gets cut in a very similar fashion to
exact same way
Elizabeth's house. And another little chair's propped up right where right where the screen is cut. So it's very similar.
It's very similar to how everything was in the first.
At Elizabeth's house. So fortunately, we're like, but wait, Reese's in prison.
Yeah.
So what's this happening at the cousin's house?
Yeah. They don't know.
They're like, well, and then of course the little sister's going, it's not him.
No.
That's not like, it's not the guy.
No, she's like, because she recognized the voice, and she's
Right.
like, it was not Richard.
Right. And this poor girl's being isolated at this time. They're trying to like hold her away from like her family and other like influences so that she can like tell the story, because they're really relying on this 9-year-old to find her sister.
Yeah, to remember or have any sort of information, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah, they're kind of like keeping her from the news, but then like they're interviewing her. They're like, give us all the
They
information,
even, like,
but don't tell us
hypnotize the poor
information. Yeah.
girl. Like, dang,
So
dude.
much stuff. For a little timeline era, when that incident happens at the uncle's house, we're about 7 weeks into Elizabeth being missing.
Right.
So that incident happened on July 24th. And then, so now the police are kind of like at a dead end again, because obviously Richard was in jail. So they're like, what the hell's going on? They're kind of thinking and losing hope of this turning into a happy ending.
Right.
You know, because we're 7 weeks into missing persons. That's pretty far, you know? Richard, so the cops also, because Richard's still in jail, they're still trying to press him for information on to where he was at that night and where the miles came from, because witnesses or someone also told the police that they saw Richard supposedly taking tools or something out of his truck and like
So
out
really
in the
the only
woods
thing
and
we
stuff.
have on Richard is that he's a thief.
Yeah, pretty
it.
much. That's
Yeah.
it. They offer Richard and his lawyer like an immunity deal.
Like a plea deal. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, if you tell us where you were at that night, outside of like emming someone or, you know,
Any other
predatory,
serious, nefarious
Yeah.
doings.
we'll, you know, let you off. Essentially, just tell us where you were. And he was like, I'm not. That night, Richard passes away
Yeah.
in jail.
Like he was transferred from prison to jail to like answer those questions and
Yeah.
stuff. And then once he got transferred back to prison,
He had like a stroke or an aneurysm
something
or
happened
something,
and he
and
just passed.
yeah, unfortunately,
So all his little secrets went with him.
they did.
Well, I mean, and like again, I don't think Richard did it.
Nope, I don't think so either. I didn't. No. Mm-mm. So the dad at this time is like, is, you know, just holding on for hope, you know,
Right.
Like he's just really trying to like, he's like, he's like, she's definitely out there, you know. He's like, I feel it, you know. He's just like has these feelings, right? He has a dream also that she does come back, and he's like, I can't give up,
Right.
you know, from that dream, of course. Around the same time when that dream happens in the show, a bar owner comes into play named Jared, and he shares an encounter that he had with 3 people that came into his bar one night. They were dressed in like white, what's the word I'm looking for? Headdresses and like a gown or
Face
whatever.
coverings,
Yeah,
like the whole all you could see
was
just
yeah,
the eyes.
just the eyes. And there was 2 women and a male, and he was like trying to ask them questions or whatever. And the guy was like, you know, I can only drink, they can't, you know, so we'll just take one drink. And it was just like a weird interaction.
Yeah, very misogynist.
So yeah, Jared was just kind of like came into the play to kind of share his story, because we're gonna have a shift here in the show, and that'll all make sense. Also, around the same time, Mary Catherine, right?
The
The sister is waiting for dad and mom to come home one night. They had gone out or whatever, and she's just chilling at home waiting for them, and she's reading a book or whatever, and she has like an epiphany of who the guy was in their bedroom that night. And she's like, I know who it is. And so dad comes home and she tells them who it is, and she labels him as Emmanuel. And everyone's like, who's Emmanuel? And so now everyone's like, what the heck? You know, like, we got to try to find this guy. When she tells dad about that in the show, we're going to rewind time a little bit, because then Elizabeth herself comes into play. And she takes us back to the night that she was taken and walks us through that whole thing and kind of like her perspective and what she was kind of thinking during that time. And she remembers walking, like the man leading her out of the house, and her hoping that like someone was going to wake up and see them, you know, or hear something, which that didn't happen.
Right.
And then, you know, she's just getting further and further away from her house. And then eventually they get out into the wooded area, and they're walking for quite some time. And as she's walking, she's just thinking like, this guy is probably going to kill me, or, you know, essay me.
Yeah,
you
make
know.
it really tough for me to want to stick around.
Yeah, exactly. And They eventually arrive at this little camp area, and there's
tent in the woods, folks.
Yeah. Not a nice camp.
No.
A makeshift tent, not even like a Walmart tent.
Yeah.
And this man, Emmanuel, introduces her to a woman named, I still don't know her name, Hexaba?
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 I think so. I don't know.
Something like that.
Like I said, we've watched it a few times, and we call her Mrs. H.
Mrs. H, yes. So Mrs. H takes Elizabeth into one of the tents and starts washing her feet or whatever of the dirt.
Kind of
and
preparing her.
Kind of like talking to her, preparing for sure. And she asked Elizabeth to remove her clothes, and Elizabeth's like, no, she's only 14. Like,
yeah,
what the heck?
She's still a little girl.
Yeah, and Mrs. H is like, no, you're gonna remove your clothes, or I'll have him come in here and remove them for you.
I don't want that.
No, and so she's like, okay, and then she takes them off, and then Mrs. H gives her like the gown and the outfit to wear,
the uniform.
Good one. And then Emmanuel comes in the tent and basically tells Elizabeth that she is now his wife, and that they have to commence their marriage. And things happen that are not pleasant. And
especially for a 14-year-old.
Yeah, a 14-year-old who grew up in a very religious household.
And a very strict, like, sexual society.
Yeah, and, brought up in the sense of, like, not knowing the difference between consensual and non-consensual.
Right. Well, I mean, again, she's only 14.
Yeah, like, she even said she had never even held a boy's hand at that time in her life.
Even gotten there yet.
Yeah, and here she is, commencing marriages. So she's describing her story.
The poor girl wakes up in chains. So after all of this, she passes out. And then
that first night,
when she comes to, she realizes that she's been shackled. And Emmanuel and his Mrs. H, if you will, have written their own scripture, folks. These people are prophets in their own mind.
Yes.
So they are running around telling people their own truths, if you will. And Emmanuel said that he was going to have 7 kids. I was going to say
that they were commanded by God.
Yeah, that they were commanded by God
to kidnap 7 kids.
To kidnap 7 kids, and she was the first.
Yes, and that her cousin
was, or her aunt or her sister were next.
Yes, that's wild. Do you think that he was the one that tried to?
Oh, absolutely.
I almost said steal the cousin.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, exactly. To try to kidnap the cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I wonder why it matches exactly the way Elizabeth's house was set up.
Was she not there?
Something probably spooked him.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, weird vibes.
Like, I mean, he's spooked pretty easy.
Yeah, very much. So she's, describing the abuse that she had gone through. He was very humiliating to her. Would often do really crappy things to her. They would go down to like this water area to get water, and he would put a chain around her neck and like walk her like a dog. Yeah, it's fucked. And he would make her drink beer until she would throw up. Like, that's insane, dude.
She's
like,
keep in mind, she's still only a teenager.
Yeah, like a baby teenager.
Like, we're not even talking about like a young 18-year-old who's been drinking already. No, this is someone who's been like raised in a strict faith. Like, these are not things that she's conditioned to.
Not at all. Not even the slightest. Not even witnessing her parents do this type of stuff, like having drinks and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Probably don't.
Yeah. So now we're fast forwarding back to like the present time-ish. When they're going through the case, and when sister tells dad that he knows who it is, essentially.
Like, the dad puts it together and goes, hey, I think we know who this is. He was one of the guys that helped us work on our house. The cops are investigating the sister. The sister says, yes, I recognize the man. We've seen him on the street before. And that's where another lady's like, hey, here's a homeless guy. If you want a job, come talk to my husband. He'll give you a job. Like, this is the second story that's done this to us.
I know. Don't get construction on your house, guys.
Or don't get homeless dudes to do construction jobs on your house, guys.
That's a red flag.
So they send a sketch artist to the sister, and she creates an image.
And the parents want to like put it out, and the cops are like, no, because they don't want to spook the possible suspect. And the parents are like,
They don't want him to run.
yeah, which I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's got to be
I mean, the parents' logic is
frustrating.
they just want to get it out there. They just want people. If
Yeah.
you see this man, please.
Let us know.
He
Like
has my
someone has to know something. Like the dad kept saying that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And he, was very adamant on the fact of like she was still out there.
Yep.
You know? So going back to August, Elizabeth describes a fight happening between Emmanuel and Mrs. H.
Yes.
And they're fighting over food because the whole time that they're like at the camp, Emmanuel's
Mrs.
like,
H and
Elizabeth
are up there starving.
yeah, and Emmanuel's in
like a little
town.
makeshift tent.
And I don't know
like
what is
eating
he
fat off town.
What
like,
is he doing in town? Just
Well, I mean, he's getting
freeloading.
He's
off
getting
shit?
arrested. He's stealing things. He's eating right. You know what I'm saying?
And
He's
then
not-
yeah,
he's just doing him.
I guess. And so they get into a big fight, and so then they all take a family little trip to
Fine, we're going into town.
going into town. Yeah. So while they're in town, they go into the library because they want to look at some maps. Because they were thinking about getting out of Salt Lake.
Yes.
And while they're in the library, a man approaches them who is a detective.
A homicide detective.
Yes. And he starts, showing them flyers like, we're looking for this girl, can you verify that this is not her, essentially, like telling them to take off the mask,
The headdress, yeah.
and they refuse. They're like, it's against our religion. We're not doing that. We don't have any ID. Basically not being helpful to the police at all.
Well, no,
of course.
because she's sitting right there.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, in her mind, was like, she wanted to try to get out of the situation, obviously, but she knew that she needed to like get out. Like that was going to be like the right moment.
Right. And Mrs. H had Elizabeth by like the knee to like, remember when your mom would do this to you to like make you like act right? Yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't act out then
she
either.
was like, that was not the
It was
moment.
not the opportunity.
No, so she didn't say anything, and the cop just walked away. He was like, okay, and
Have a
then
good
left.
day.
Then fast forward again, February 2003 now is where we're at. The case is at a standstill. And the detective that was working the case initially like leaves the state. The captain that was initially put on he like leaves the state to go to work for a different department and leaves the case with somebody else, which has got to be super frustrating.
Right.
The case is at a standstill at this point. The family can't talk about Emmanuel. They're frustrated. Dad then decides on his own, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to release the sketch
Yeah.
to the public.
I'm going to put this out there.
Yeah. And so he did against,
The
cops' orders, not
Yeah.
orders, but like recommendations or whatever. He releases it, and then they start getting people sending information in
saying
that
I
they
recognize
have
this
seen.
guy.
Yeah, they get a specific phone call from a guy who states that the guy in the sketch could be his brother-in-law. Correct?
Yes, his sister's husband.
Correct. And he was like, I don't know if he would do something that crazy, but
Here's a picture of him.
he looks a lot like him.
Yeah.
And so he sends a picture in, and they look identical, and which is bizarre.
Yeah.
So then the real name of Emmanuel is Brian Mitchell.
Yes.
Don't sneeze.
I'm trying not.
And
Brian David Mitchell.
they search the database, and they find that he was arrested for shoplifting during the time of Elizabeth being gone. And so they had him, like a picture of him, like on the ground in the whatever liquor store.
in his robes.
Without his headdress covering his face. And he was there in handcuffs or whatever, And
It's so funny to me, this whole case. The cops have them so many times. Like they have them in the library. They have Emmanuel arrested at, I think, like an Albertsons because he was trying to steal beer. The entire time Elizabeth is missing. Like they
was just, like,
they even like
there.
run into Elizabeth for Pete's sake. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at this time, I think they've already scooted off to San Diego or California, wherever
Pretty
they
much,
landed.
yeah.
Right? And that's when she gets smart.
Yes. Someone did see them at like a super salad, It was like describing the people, the Jesus people, they called them, you know? So they were getting reports of the Jesus people
sightings
around in town, but it was all prior to
the date they were currently in. Yeah.
like the present time. Like they weren't getting anything.
It was like 3 months cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when they were in San Diego.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like, I had this thought today is like, if they'd released the sketch earlier,
would they have been caught earlier?
Yeah, I feel like in a sense they
Or
might have.
Would he have done what the cops thought he was going to do and absconded? Because he did anyways.
Maybe.
Like he got spooked out of the woods when a search party went up there and Elizabeth could like faintly hear her name.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, WTF. So he starts to get scared.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course one of the whole reasons why they went into town was to find another location.
Correct.
So I don't know. He was already on the run by the time the sister had remembered who
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So now Elizabeth is talking again, and they have moved to San Diego. And they're at some camp called Lakeside, and Emmanuel and Mrs. H are talking about going to like big cities like New York, Chicago, stuff like that, you know. And Elizabeth's hearing all of this, and she's like, if I go to a big city, like no one's gonna find me. No. I'm never gonna be found, you know. So she gets super smart for her 14-year-old self and pulls a nice manipulation tactic. So during her time with Emmanuel, she learned that he was like very, you know, narcissistic, loved the power, typical MO of this type of person, right?
Yeah.
You know, loved his ego stroked, all of that. And so she takes the opportunity to do that to him. And she's like, you know what? She's like, I really don't think we need to leave Salt Lake. You know, like, I really feel like you need to ask God that you're called there, you know, to be there and this and that. Or like,
it's like, we need to go back.
Some shit like that,
called
you know,
back to Salt Lake.
Yeah. And she's like, I think that you just need to ask God about that, you know? And he's like, you know what? You're
right.
And I'm like, no fucking way was he just like, okay, let's go back to the state that I just kidnapped you from, knowing that there's like this huge manhunt for them.
Right.
Or for her.
Well, maybe he doesn't know because
not for him,
like the
but
family,
for her at least.
Right.
Still.
She's trying to get closer to her family.
Right.
To where she can get caught.
Yeah. But he's stupid. Like, that's like robbing
I'm sure
the
she
bank
just gave
and
him a
then
good
going
old
back
ego
to the bank.
stroke and was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. We do need to pick up your cousin. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm sure. So they go back to Salt Lake.
They do.
So ridiculous. And then the police start getting the calls of the Jesus people.
Yeah, they get cited.
Yeah. Back in Salt Lake, walking around down the street and stuff like that. And they're like, no way. Like, it's been quiet for so long, you know, like this can't be real, you know? Mm-hmm. And so an officer drives to the location where they were reported being seen, and they were there. So he pulls over and, you know, starts questioning all three of them, you know, and Elizabeth is quiet. She's like not saying anything. They're obviously doing the same type of deterrent tactics of like, you know, don't have an ID, you know, not giving you my name.
It's against
all
my
of that
religion.
Shit, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so thankfully this cop has some freaking sense in his brain, and he like pulls Elizabeth, like separates them.
I think that's kind of like standard in like crime, right? Because they're
totally
like,
is.
if you and I were off committing crimes, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you two, we couldn't be close enough together to cooperate, so they're gonna like split us up. So fortunately, they put everybody about, what'd she say, like 10 feet, 10 yards, 10
so, like,
something
close
apart.
enough that they could still
like you could hear. Yeah. But
and she was still super, super nervous, and she was not really speaking to the officer. And
she's
he's
trying not to give away her identity.
Yeah, and he's like pressing her, like,
Right.
we're looking for this girl Amanda Smart or Elizabeth Smart, sorry, and you know, have you like? I need you to verify that you're not her. Like, he said something very specific to her, you know. Oh gosh, what does he say? He says, like, for the love and everything that is, you know, holy, if you are Elizabeth Smart, could you say that? And she's like, yeah, I could say that. And then boom, they take her, put her in the back of a car, and then boom, transcend onto Emmanuel and Mrs. H, and they're toast. Yeah, they take Amanda. Why do I keep saying Amanda? Do we have an Amanda somewhere? Nope. Don't know where that's coming from. I mean, we've talked about an Amanda, but there's no Amanda in this story. So they take Elizabeth back to the police station. And then obviously they call her dad, in the family, of course. Dad, obviously being the main one, he goes to the station, into the room where she's at, and he opens the door and he's like, "Is that really you?" And she's like, "Yes, Dad." And he's like, sadly, he's like, the second I opened that door, I knew that was not my little girl anymore. Which
this
so
poor thing had changed.
sad. Like, and I'm sure it was very present on her. Like,
She was missing 9 months.
yeah.
And that was a hard 9 months.
She was sunburned,
Like her
and like
cheeks were puffy and like malnourished, I'm sure.
oh yeah.
And I mean, and just run through it. Like, unfortunately, this girl was essayed constantly.
And constantly, like, if she didn't obey, she was getting, hurt or abused in some way, and just went through it.
Not
She
good.
was, run
thing.
through it. So of course they have a nice moment of hugging, and all of that, which is super, super sweet. They start interviewing Emmanuel, and he's so weird. He starts saying like weird shit during the interview.
Well, he's trying to catch like an insanity plea. Let's be real. He's trying not to get prosecuted for his crimes.
The judge keeps delaying the trial and pushes it out.
Which is wild. Why?
Super crazy.
We have all of the notes saying that he's the guy.
And while, the trial is being pushed out, the family is trying to like put all the pieces back together for Elizabeth. And finally, Elizabeth is tired of this trial
dragging on. Yeah. It drags on for so long.
Yeah. So in November 10th, 2010. She was taken in 2002.
Right. And only for 9 months. So I think they found her in like 2000, either later that year or in 2003.
Yes.
So like 6-7 years? Dang.
That's crazy. So she decides that she's going to testify in court to make this go faster. So she takes the stand and tells her whole story. Finally gets the guilty verdict that she deserves for this man.
Well done.
Brian was charged with kidnapping, transporting a minor across state lines. He got life in prison, no parole. Yes. Wanda, Mrs. H. Got the same charges. She got 15 years in prison. She actually was released in 2018. So she ended up only serving 8 years
for being a model prisoner.
Yeah, which is whatever.
But we don't know Mrs. H's story. Like, I understand she like came in with him, but she could have been just as washed and wrung out as like she was probably his first victim. You know what I'm saying? Like,
probably
she was conditioned and torn down and rebuilt into whatever Emmanuel wanted her to be. Like, the fact that she was playing into the whole profit piece was insane.
Wild.
Yeah.
So wild. What's also crazy is they said the camp was only 18 miles from her house.
That's not far, man.
No. Like, if
like
they would have just went a couple extra miles.
Oh gosh. Though.
I
mean, but like
a couple extra miles they could have, but so the reason they didn't, and I think this is why, is because on the trail, and I don't know if this is exact, but they did have search dogs, and they sent out the search dog, and the dog got the scent or whatever, and he was going, and then he hit road and then lost the scent.
Right.
So the cops thought,
they had popped her into a car.
Yeah.
Instead of cross the road and continue up the trail.
Which I think that's probably where she was at.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, to only be that far for 9 months.
Yeah.
And like your whole, like, you're just,
I mean, she did have like a little vacation there in California for a while.
If you would call that a vacation.
Sorry, not a vacation.
Not a vacation.
A venue change in California.
Change
for a
of
while.
scenery.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it was a wild story. But Elizabeth now is a huge advocate for missing persons. She has a book out. She does tons of things now in a positive way from her situation. She tries to like give back and be a public speaker for a lot of people that have gone through that and so forth, which is really good. Yeah. You don't have too many missing person happy ending stories like that.
No, you don't. Especially not this run that we've gone through.
No.
Yeah.
No. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this one, please make sure to hit that subscribe. We do appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Yes. Make sure to tune in every Thursday. We do have our live premieres, so we are in the chat.
Love.
chatting it away.
Amen.
Come hang out. It's super fun. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
From truth or lies, we'll call it out. They whisper gossip, but we shout. Pop culture queens and headphones clear. Girl, did you hear what?